What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media. We have made it to the month of August, or if I'm just going to be honest, I'm recording this Wednesday, July 24th, 2024. I had to get it out, and I had to get it out as soon as I could because we want the anticipation to build for something like this, right? This is our official preseason college football top 25 preseason poll. I'm really excited to get into this today. We're going to look at the poll itself. I got a graphic I'm going to throw up on the screen, and we're just going to highlight a few teams. I don't think we have time to necessarily get into all of these teams, all 25. I might not. I mean, obviously, you kind of got to say, okay, well, why is this team ranked? Why not so and so? Why not whoever? Why are these teams ranked? And it could be obvious, like, obviously, they were a good team last year. They returned a lot of production, and that's basically the half of it for the bottom half of the rankings, I would say. But you definitely got to justify, like, top 10, top 15. I think that's fair. Before we get into it, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We do college football content. I don't mind talking baseball or basketball or anything like that when March Madness and everything rolls around, but I think it's clear the direction I want to go now is college football. And what a better way to kick off August and the NFL preseason and everything like that to kick off football than my top 25 poll. So I do have, as our friend Uncle Lou would say, copious notes. I got some copious notes. I figured that we find ways to kind of justify some of our rankings. Let me do this. I don't want to have you guys wait any more. And I'm not just going to bore you with, oh, team number 1, team number 2, team number 3. We're not going to do that. That's a mess. It'd be too long a video. Now, if we go for 20 minutes or so, that's fine. It happens. I wrote down some notes for a lot of these teams that I want to highlight for the most part. But there are some teams out there that are ranked that I didn't really kind of justify my ranking for them, such as Utah, such as Miami. I didn't really come up with anything. I don't know. I just think they're going to be good this year. And I think that going into the season, they just got to be ranked somewhere. And 25 is too low, top 10 is too high. Uh, I mean, I'll highlight a little bit. I got Miami at 20. I got Utah at 15. I didn't justify those. I just think that Miami could be the bottom half of a top 20 team and Utah somewhere in the top 15. I just I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. Without further ado, folks, let's get in and look at the Ballard Sports Media preseason top 25 poll. Okay, from Georgia to Memphis. Georgia's an obvious number 1 choice. You can make a case for Texas, you can make a case for Ohio State because of all the returning production and everything. But until Kirby Smart says otherwise, because Nick Saban retired, Kirby Smart and Georgia, I don't want to. I'll bite my tongue on saying they're the standard of college football. We got to see it, like because what are you going to say if Kalen DeBoer wins a natty this year? I don't think it's going to happen with Alabama, but let's say they do, and Alabama still looks like they're the standard, right? And it's not Georgia. But forget being the standard. What about Georgia being the best team this year? Why not? Carson Beck, Kirby Smart, Small Monday. I mean, you could go down the list of recruiting, the list of talent. I know you're typing in the comments right now, oh, why is this team right here? We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. And up next is Ohio State. Harbaugh is gone and out of Michigan. Now I have them ranked at number 8. We'll get to that soon. But Ohio State, look, they might be best top to bottom, especially oh my gosh. Who do they got? Quarterback Will Howard, the Kansas State transfer, comes in, always having good receivers like Emeka Ibuka. They've had guys over the years like Chris Olave, who's in the league now. They're going to be one of the top offenses, probably the top offense in the Big Ten. If it's not them, it's Oregon, who I have at number 4. You see Texas, you see Ole Miss. Here's your top 10, folks. I have 4 SEC, 4 Big Ten, and ACC because they're still there. Florida State. I probably am like I'm. Am I overrating? Let me know in the comments. Am I greatly overrating Florida State being in the top 10? I look at DJ Uiagalelei coming in at quarterback. Watch Earl Little on defense. He's going to be a hard hitting guy. He comes from Alabama. DJ's redemption. He could redeem himself. I thought he did okay at Oregon State. I'm not going to lie. His coach leaves for Michigan State, Jonathan Smith. He comes into Florida State. He's familiar with the ACC. I think DJ has gotten better. I also think that a 5-star recruit like him, I'm not saying strip him of 5-star recruiting or anything like that. I just don't think he was ready for a place like Clemson. But he could be ready for Florida State. I think he's learned. I think he's grown. I think Mike Norvell would say the same thing. We'll see. After Florida State, and this is again, I'm not trying to be biased by any means. I'm not. I mean, I even got Auburn ranked, and we'll get to them. But Alabama at 7. Milrow, he's he's got Heisman odds. Justice Haynes comes in at running back. DeBoer is going to be explosive on offense. The defense has a lot of question marks, in my opinion. I went to the spring game. I saw what happened. I saw what it looked like. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. looked pretty good on defense. And honestly, that was it. Not to say the other guys can't step up, not to say that they can't be elite, not to say that it can't be good. I think this schedule is favorable outside of maybe the Georgia game. You do go to Oklahoma late in the year. I got them at 13. I think Alabama, like, if you look at these rankings, I basically have them in 4th place preseason in the SEC. They do not have to play Ole Miss, but I guarantee you, if they did, the defense being a little bit suspect, Jackson Dart and company at Ole Miss, they'd probably explode all over Alabama's defense offensively. They probably would. That's just my opinion. They don't have to play the Mississippi schools this year, but if they did, I'm not saying that they couldn't beat Ole Miss, but it's kind of a tough call. That game would be in Oxford too if they were playing because it was at Bryant-Denny last year. I got Alabama at number 7. The defending champs. I had to put them in the top 10 somewhere. I think Sharon Moore, I think he knows the system. I think he knows what he's doing. Uh, the champs, it's gonna be a rebuild, but they come in with great expectations of the big house, pack it out. Let's beat Ohio State for a 4th year in a row. Let's get it done, and let's see if we can prove everybody wrong by making the playoffs and going back to back. I don't I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm willing to bet Michigan fans don't think it's gonna happen. But you can't disrespect the champs, right? You gotta put them somewhere. I do think they're a top 10 team, at least going into the season. We'll see what it looks like later on. But I got Michigan at number 8. I would favor I would put them in the same category as Alabama. New head coach, great talent. Alabama returns a little bit more production. That's why I got them ahead of Michigan. So I just don't see how you make a case that the defending champs be outside the top 10, but also be ahead of teams like Florida State, Alabama, whoever that I have ahead of them. Up next, and again, you guys are probably putting in the comments already why this is all wrong. I don't know. Penn State, Notre Dame, LSU, Clemson. You see all the rankings here. Uh, Penn State's always a pick, but they always disappoint. But I feel like I almost said Kirk Franklin. What is this? DC talk? James Franklin. I would say this. He always disappoints. He always starts out good until he plays like Michigan or Ohio State, right? Always disappoints us. But they're always a pick. And when you look at Penn State, when you look at their schedule this year, it's it's somewhat manageable. I don't want to say it's favorable, but I do think it's favorable. The non-con, they got to go to West Virginia. I think that's a close win. Bowling Green and Kent State, they'll win the non-con 3-0. But then you look at they play Illinois at homecoming, UCLA at home. Those are not necessarily guaranteed wins. I mean, maybe Illinois is. UCLA, we'll see. At USC is going to be tough. At Wisconsin. The thing is, you don't play Michigan, but you get Ohio State at home on November 2nd. You got to go to Purdue and Minnesota. Drew Aller comes back. You did lose Keandre Lambert-Smith to Auburn, who I have ranked. But the Big Ten in conference schedule at Wisconsin going to be a test on October 26th. Ohio State going to be a test at home November 2nd. At Minnesota late in the year, I don't have Minnesota in my top 25. I like PJ Fleck though. He's always had good teams, good defensive players. Bucks have gotten a couple in recent years. Antoine Winfield, whatever. Maryland. Maryland on November 30th. Whew, that's tough. You get them at home though. I think it's manageable outside of Ohio State and maybe a team like USC on the road. A lot of people are saying Penn State could go 10-2, and even still, they can make the college football playoff with 2 losses. With 2 losses. But they disappoint sometimes. But they always go like 10-2, right? They always get to 10 wins and then they find a bowl. They always lose to like Michigan and Ohio State. Well, you really only have Ohio State that you could lose to. Anyway, up next I have Notre Dame, A&M week 1, Riley Leonard versus Mike Elko. That'll be a matchup for sure. I would take Notre Dame in that game at the moment. It is, I believe, at Kyle Field. So but I would still probably go with Notre Dame in a close one. That's going to be a good game to highlight. LSU at 11, Nussmeier at QB, defense with Harold Perkins should be improved. Brian Kelly comes in, uh, did really good at Notre Dame, and he comes into LSU. He did win the SEC West Division a couple years ago. Obviously, Alabama took it back and won the SEC last year, but I don't think LSU's too far off from maybe getting back to all that um, soon. So anyway, so I had to return a phone call, so I had to pause the recording there. I apologize. LSU, Nussmeier at QB, defense, Harold Perkins. It's going to be good. It's going to look really, really good for them, I think. But They're top 5 SEC in my opinion. I think they improve. I think they get better. I think Brian Kelly knows what he's doing. I got them at 11, just outside the top 10. Maybe I'm crazy. Leave it in the comments section. Clemson, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and the Utes round out the top 15. Can they beat Georgia week 1? We highlight the Clemson Tigers. If they can, and they return Cade Klubnik, Peter Woods on defense. Um, they just return so much. It's Dabo Swinney. Ever since Tyler from Spartanburg called into his show last year, they pretty much won every single game. So, can they beat Georgia week 1? They could. It's in Atlanta. It's in Georgia's backyard. So, I would say that game favored Georgia, obviously, but at the same time, you take into account that Clemson, they gotta be in an upward trend more so they are a downward trend, I think, in 2024. I think at some point they get back to winning titles with Dabo. I think at some point they get back to winning the ACC and everything as long as they're in the ACC. They're still trying to get out of there with Florida State, get to the Big Ten and everything. And but it's chaos there. Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Utah. They don't really have anything for Utah. I just think they're top 15 somewhere. But Oklahoma and Tennessee gets teams like Bama at home. They do have to play Georgia on the road. Nico Amamoliva comes in, 5-star recruit, great quarterback. Squirrel White and company out there. They're going to be pretty good. Great explosive offense. They beat Bama last time they played at Neyland. They play at Neyland on the third Saturday this year. Can they highlight that game and get another victory over the Crimson Tide? We'll see. Get back to Oklahoma. Welcome to the SEC. I think they're mid tier. Um, Brett Venables knows what he's doing with the defense. It's a defensive league in the SEC. It's an offensive league overall today. It's it's tough out there, but I think they're gonna be good. I don't think they're gonna be a bottom feeder or anything like that. So I got Oklahoma in my top 15. Uh, get down a little bit. My gut says to have Louisville ranked. I got them at 17. I don't really have any justification for that, but I look at Missouri, Theo Wees, Luther Burden, and then when you look at uh Maliki Cooper, or how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Cooper. They got a trio of wide receivers at Missouri. And I love Eli Drinkwitz. I really do. I think he's got what it takes to win in the SEC. I think at some point you could see them competing for the SEC championship. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because of Georgia and everything Kirby Smart's doing. But you look at Alabama with a new head coach. You also got to look at Texas. I mean, Texas is going to lose a lot after this season, but for this year, like tier 2 of the SEC outside of the SEC champion contenders, when you look at Alabama, you look at Oklahoma, you look at Missouri. Okay. This is a team that made a New Year's Six Bowl last year against Ohio State. This is going to be a good squad this year, I really believe, for Mizzou. Keep an eye on them. They got to be ranked somewhere. I don't really have much justification for the bottom half of this. I know you want to know about Auburn. I got Louisville, Oklahoma State, Iowa. Iowa loses some talent, but they're always having a top 10, top 5 defense nationally. Never really played too much offense. We still got Cade McNamara, but, you know, Iowa, best Big Ten defense, probably top 5 nationally there. Miami, I just think they're going to be better. 8 wins at most for Kansas. That's pretty good for their standards. They haven't really, I mean, they've been scraping the bottom of the barrel for a little while in the Big 12 and everything. You talk about the Big 12. I like UCF this year. Better year in year 2. Gus Malzahn is the head coach. We know what he could do at Auburn. We know how he loves to call offense. He's QB power driven. QB power driven. Washington, national runner up, losing Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. Jed Fish comes in from Arizona. He was able to help Arizona um, last year get to the Alamo Bowl. I would expect him to help Washington a little bit, although highlight the fact they're in the Big Ten now. Highlight that fact. Memphis could be the best group of 5 team. Always a really good team, fun to highlight. They're going to be explosive on offense. They can run the football very well, hit you in the mouth. They got some defensive studs. Memphis, I have them rounding out our top 25 in the preseason at Ballard Sports Media. They always put big guys in the NFL. Last but not least, I wanted to save this team for last. You guys know I'm an Alabama guy. I'm a Crimson Tide fan. Love Alabama. Why would I have my rival ranked? Well, this is unbiased. I'm really high on what Auburn could do this year. Can they take back over the Iron Bowl? Can they win those road games with Georgia? Probably not. At Alabama, we'll see. But I look at Auburn and you dive into what they have with Peyton Thorne, and you just there's something on the plains right now that says we're getting better, we're doing better, and Hugh Freeze recruiting with Cam Coleman and then Perry Thompson. It's incredible. I know they lost to, like, New Mexico State or whoever last year, but they got some studs at freshman and wide receiver. This offense, I think, could be one of the better ones in the SEC. It's not gonna be Georgia. It's not gonna be Texas. It's probably not gonna be Alabama. But could it be top 10? You got 16 teams now in the SEC. Could it be a top 10 offense? I think that's good enough for Auburn at the moment. The first test, I would say, you play Alabama A&M, you play Cal, you play New Mexico, you play Arkansas. I think those are 4 dubs, all at home. Your first 5 games are at home. I think you're gonna lose on October 5th to Georgia, and then you get your bye week, and then you play Missouri on the road. We'll see. But you wanna build some momentum? Take care of the Sooners on September 28th at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That look, I had called Feinbaum or no, I called Mark Rogers, and I said, is that gonna be a true wake-up call of the SEC and a welcoming for Oklahoma going to Jordan-Hare Stadium? He agreed. It's a tough place. Can Auburn beat Oklahoma? And is that really gonna matter? I think every win matters. But do we view a win over Oklahoma for Auburn? Do we view that as a signature win of this season? Unless they can beat Georgia or Alabama. I consider it a huge, huge win. They play Texas A&M at home on November 23rd. They go to Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'll be at that game on November 30th. They gotta go to Sanford Stadium in Athens, Dooley Field, October 5th. Vandy at home, ULM at home. I don't think they're losing games like that. I don't know what it was that they lost to New Mexico State last year. I don't think Hugh Freeze is gonna let something crazy like that happen again. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Call me crazy. But watch the offense especially, man. Hugh Freeze knows what he's doing. He's been in the SEC before. He knows what it takes to beat teams like Bama or whoever. Maybe not what it takes to beat Georgia, and maybe not this year to beat Bama on the road. We don't know. But I think Auburn is set up for great success, and momentum is swinging in their favor. It's going to happen. It's gonna happen. That rounds out the top 25 preseason of Ballard Sports Media. You see it here from Georgia to Memphis, SEC, Big Ten, ACC. I did not include the Pac-2. I just didn't. So, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. From Ballard Sports Media, have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. You're watching this on a Thursday. I'm recording on a Wednesday. I hope your Wednesday's going good. Anyway, that's my top 25 preseason. I tried to justify all of these if I could, but I didn't want to make it too long on you guys. Just under half an hour, I guess. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Ballard Sports Media checking out.